Wednesday night, we're going to start doing, so for everyone that's tuned in, we're going to start doing one live show every Wednesday night. Instead of doing Thursdays or Fridays, we're going to try to stick to every Wednesday at 8 p.m. So tune in for the show every single Wednesday, every week at 8 p.m. Put it on your calendar, set an alarm so when it's 8 p.m., well, it'll give you a notification, so you'll be good. But tune in, 8 p.m. every Wednesday. We're going to be doing the Bible studies Tuesdays and Thursdays at 5:30 a.m. in the morning, so it's early bird Bible study. And then Tyler is going to be doing one show every weekend. It could be any time, Saturday or Sunday, whenever he's got some free time to do it up. We'll be doing something then, so be paying attention on the weekends for whenever that show could pop up and tune in and see what he's got to say. He had a good show. Go check out his last show. He had a good show about our corrupt healthcare system in this country and some of the potential reasons why it's corrupt and how to fix it.
But I feel like I could do like 50 shows on that.
Good. Well, get them done. Like, share, subscribe, comment, do all the things. I didn't even give an actual intro for this show, but what we're going to be talking about is Thomas Massie tweets out, and this was kind of what I saw and what sparked the interest in it, was he said this, had this post or tweet, whatever, that kind of said, like, okay, the government's exposed. Like, they were hiding the fact that they had an employee setting the pipe bomb, allegedly set by the pro-Trump MAGA people on January 6th.
Hold on. If you don't mind, I'm going to go for like 60 to 90 seconds here. So for those of you that aren't as entrenched in politics and just kind of like candidly watch shows here and there and happen to stumble across our show, or our show is the one that, because you're friends of ours, you watch our show, and like that's kind of where you get your politics from. I was talking to Dalton about this before we went live. I religiously, from 2020, 2021, 2022, was watching, I would say, on any given day, literally, I was obsessed with it. 8 hours of like podcasting a day. I was listening to people talking about it, reading articles. I was getting all of my political base there. I was like, that's where I got all of my knowledge from. That's where I've gained all my like historical knowledge from about history and like how politics works and all that good jazz. That's where I went into it. I had probably 15 podcasts that I listened to on any given rotation basis. 3 of them that I listened to like every single day. One of them having to be Dan Bongino. Dan Bongino, out of all of the 15 that I regularly listen to, all pretty much right-leaning, 2 or 3 left-leaning, I would say at the time, but mostly right-leaning. Out of all of them, regardless of political lean, Dan Bongino was the only one that had mentioned that there was a pipe bomb set at a park bench underneath the DNC, or near the DNC, right outside the DNC building. And then right outside of the RNC building, not too far away, there was also a pipe bomb set. So like that was the story, this whole time. And we're going to talk about the timeline.
I feel like that wasn't exposed until a couple years after January 6th, before that was really catching on, at least. I
would say, if my memory recalls correctly, it was probably somewhere in the middle of 2021, I want to say. I want to say that it was in the middle of 2021, or sorry, 2022, excuse me, 2022, when people really started. That's when I think Dan Bongino, so it was January 6th, then I'll say like April of 2022. My memory doesn't serve exactly like when it happened, but it was definitely a further after that people really started talking about it. Yeah, right.
It was a while
but
after.
I do think that people knew about it, obviously, in January. And I think that Dan had even mentioned it like sometime in January, because unfortunately the news had gotten, so I think we're probably just going to get into the story or the show here after all my rambling. But I think what had happened is that the story was right-wing people just, raided the Capitol and like the worst thing had ever happened. When in reality, the bigger story was there was pipe bombs planted outside both the RNC and the DNC.
Yeah, there was false flag.
There was a couple of windows smashed. Nancy Pelosi had her podium stolen or whatever, right? And I don't know, 1,000 people milled about in the Capitol Rotunda building. Like that was the story there that they ran with and tried to say this was the worst day, the worst attack in American history. Forget that we had a civil war. Forget that we had any of that going on. That was the biggest thing ever. But in reality, the actual story that was never talked about, and most people probably don't even know exists, and now we're talking about that story was covered up by the FBI and CIA, was that there was pipe bombs placed outside the RNC and the DNC.
Like, share, subscribe, comment, do all the things. Comment down below if you did or did not know about the pipe bombs that were placed on January 6th. Let's jump right into it. I want to continue that train of thought because I have a lot of stuff to say about that train of thought you just had. Do you want to pop up? I think we should pop up the second cut first, if that's all right with you.
Yeah. That I mean, yeah. That's fine.
All right, let's pop up the second.
I got
cut,
it right here. So this is a tweet from Thomas Massie. So Thomas Massie, everybody knows him. He's a everybody who's at least mildly entrenched in politics knows that he's just a congressman that's, I think, truly America first. You know, he wants to balance the budget. He wants to do the right things for the American people. MAGA. Yeah, he's actual true MAGA. You know, he's not like Israel MAGA. But Massie tweeted here, America is waking up today to learn that Capitol Police turned CIA orchestrated the pipe bombs on January 6th, and the FBI has covered it up for over 4 years. I questioned FBI Director Wray, ATF Director Dettelbach, and FBI Director over DC, De Antuono, under oath. All played dumb. So that is... I wish we were able to get some of the footage here, but it's just like not worth the time on the show to pull some of that footage where they played dumb. But anybody who's really kind of watched any political shows when Christopher Wray was actually testifying, or was the FBI director, if you ever watched politics shows during that time, you've probably seen clips of him testifying on Capitol Hill. The dude always played dumb.
And he's not even good at it, though. The thing is, it's so obvious that that's what he's doing, right?
Yeah. Well, he always played dumb, which is even worse because you're playing dumb and you're running an agency that you don't even know is what's. It's like probably the most important agency because you're supposed to be protecting us from terroristic threats. And obviously, if you're playing dumb, you have no idea what's going on in your agency, or you're covering something up.
Or you're covering something up, right?
Yeah, which is probably the case here. And
either way is just as bad. Let's be clear. Like, if you have no idea, if you're the head of the FBI and you have no idea what's going on, it's just a bunch of rogue actors. Like, that's just as bad as you actually controlling the rogue actors.
If not worse, honestly.
Yeah, right. Negligence. You had a train of thought that I don't know if it's going to tie into any of these properly, but you had a train of thought that you hit before we jumped into the story at the end of your little intro there. That was, I think, a huge point that I guess I just want to lay this out and then we can go cut by cut if you want. But just the first when the point that you were making, it popped a thought in my head. And I don't want to lose it. The crazy thing about January 6th, right, is they're hammering everyone. They're using AI to look at every piece of footage, every video ever taken during that whole time, and try to get everyone, target everyone, and arrest everyone. Right? How come they didn't give a single shit about the pipe bomber? The people that's way, way, way worse than any of these people.
That's suspect primo, bro.
Right. But they had no investigation into that. Only the people that were falsely let in by the FBI agents, because we do know for 100% fact that there were FBI agents in the crowd, quote unquote Ray Epps maybe. But everybody's seen the videos too. Like the Capitol Police move the barriers, and we're like, yeah, this way. And they were leading Jacob Chansley, the shaman, through the Capitol and stuff like. That's why he's no longer in jail, because the videos came to light. Tucker got the video from Kevin McCarthy, and Tucker showed it on Fox News, and it showed Jacob Chansley like being led through, and a group of other people being led through the Capitol by the Capitol Police, and they let him in like the Senate hearing room. They let him in all these places. Like this is. I don't even think that's
crap.
But I want to really hone in on this point quick though. Is yes, it is a point that they were letting them in. But I think the bigger point is a way more dangerous thing that happened, setting a freaking pipe bomb or two, way worse than storming into the Capitol with everyone being unarmed, breaking glass. No one tries to prosecute anyone for the pipe bomb. They just try to shoo it under the rug. Like, we haven't heard any trial, anything about anyone that did it. We just know that there was a pipe bomb there, and someone came and picked it up and got rid of it. Like, that's the only thing we know. And now we know the identity potentially of the person that did it. But before we go to that, I just really want to focus, and then I'll be done, on the fact that they didn't try to prosecute Ray Epps. And he even had a text message the next day of like telling his cousin like, yeah, he feels guilty for what he did and blah blah blah. And they didn't try to prosecute anyone for the pipe bomb. And now we know the identity of the pipe bomber. And now they're trying to make it as if it was nothing.
Well, yeah, to jog people's memories too. Ray Epps was like this huge figure surrounding January 6th. He was like this big guy that like never got prosecuted for anything,
And he was
they went
seen
after
on
Trump.
video saying, "Go into
We
the
need to
Capitol."
go into the Capitol. We need to go into the
Yeah.
Capitol, and he was like trying to incite violence, and they went after Trump for this. They got all these people for just kind of meandering about the
Little
Rotunda building,
grandmas
or
are
even
taking
being-
selfies in the Capitol building. They get arrested, but this guy's out here
Yeah.
yelling, "Let's go storm the building," and he doesn't get even looked at.
Yeah. So actually, I want you to pull up cut 4 here, because the whole time, the whole timeline of events even makes it more suspicious, right? So discovery of the devices, so the pipe bombs, between 12:40 and 1:05, respectively, on January 6th, drew already depleted police forces away from the Capitol just as a huge crowd breached the grounds at 12:53 p.m. A joint session of Congress convened at 1 p.m. to take up challenges to the certification of the Electoral College vote from the 2020 presidential election. So the timing of this is just like superbly suspicious too.
Yeah.
So the pipe bombs, just so we're all clear, were placed like 7:30, 7:45, 8 o'clock at night on January 5th. Now, they found the pipe bomb perfectly during the time that this unorchestrated riot happened at the Capitol building. So there's just so many, the people that just still are walking around and think that January 6th was a non-orchestrated attack are some of the most gullible people and some of the most trustworthy, because you named the show here, is this the last straw for trusting the government? That obviously happened for rational thinkers on January 6th. Like, I remember that I was like villain number one in my space, the people around me, because on January 6th, I was like, Trump was right. What Trump said is completely correct. Now, if
We
you go
all
back and
should have
watch
been
that
there.
speech, yeah, and it was perfectly, yeah. I mean, it was all perfectly fine speech. All of the people, like, mostly what they did was break a couple of windows and stuff and mill about in the Capitol. There was pretty much nobody threatening. Maybe a couple of people that were, a little bit aggressive towards the Capitol police officer. Those people should be, punished to the fullest extent of the law if you're like beating police officers and stuff. But most of the videos that I saw, even on that day, was like Capitol police officers moving barricades, letting people in. And then we saw, like I'd already discussed, Kevin McCarthy gave the tapes to Tucker showing Jacob Jansley and his crew being led through the whole building by Capitol Police. And then months later, come out and say, well, there was at least 26 FBI agents in the crowd. I'd wager, without knowing any more, that there was probably more than that plainclothes officers in the crowd, maybe ginning stuff up. Was Ray Epps one of those people? I don't know, but it's very suspicious that thousands of people got tried and convicted, and Ray Epps, who was saying we need to go into the Capitol, everybody around him's chanting, Fed, Fed, Fed. He never once got in trouble. And it was like a whole story. He went on like NBC and CNN and was like, I think he was on 60 Minutes, actually. And he was like doing this whole thing, like doing a whole tour about like how, it was weird that people were attacking him in this way. And the whole thing is weird. So now you're telling me also that the riot started at 12:53 and they just happened to find the pipe bombs between like right around the time that happened. And everybody knew that the Senate was going to convene at this time. It just seems very, very coordinated by an FBI, and I'm almost done here, by an FBI or a CIA that's done this type of stuff before. That's like the kidnapping plot for Gretchen Whitmer. There was 14 guys, 12 of them were FBI. That kind of stuff happens all the time from the FBI. So like, I just don't believe you anymore at all on anything.
Let's remember, too, you can also be an FBI informant without actually being an FBI agent, right? So there's also a lot of this that where people can work for the FBI indirectly without being a part of the FBI, and this is a lot of it too. Is they'll say, oh, they weren't an FBI agent, okay, but were they an informant? Like, did you have blackmail on them? Did you have something going on where you cut
them a check?
Right? Did you pay them to do something? Like, this is not out of the realm of possibility. We know this stuff happens. With the exact thing I was going to bring up was the Gretchen Whitmer plot, where they had a couple guys that were just kind of wanting to go shooting and like have a bro day where they just go shoot their guns and target practice. Like, I think it was like 12 out of the 15 people that were involved were FBI agents that were trying to set these dudes up just to make it look like, oh, MAGA supporters, these crazy militia militant people are doing all this crazy stuff. They were going to go capture Gretchen Whitmer. Even those three people that weren't FBI agents, they were the ones that were like, we shouldn't be doing this. Like, this is a bad idea. It was the FBI agents saying, we're going to go do this. We're going to go, kidnap Gretchen Whitmer and do all these things. The guys in the back that had nothing to do with it, they were like, no, that's a horrible idea. Let's not do this. Then they drove by their house. They drove by Gretchen Whitmer's house, and they used that as evidence to convict them that they were on their way to kidnap Gretchen Whitmer when they weren't even driving. It was the FBI agents that were driving, purposely drove by Gretchen Whitmer's house, and the people that were sitting in the back that were just passengers that had nothing to do with the plot of this, they got arrested for setting up a plot to kidnap Gretchen Whitmer, and that's what it's just ridiculous that they can get away with this shit.
Yeah, and by the way, we kind of honed in on one example. There are thousands of examples where the FBI and CIA have done this to people.
That's just within the last 5 years, though, we're talking. And not to even mention the LSD trials. I think if I really tried to rack my brain, I could probably think of 10 or 15 like CIA, FBI things where how about the Trump files? Like, all of it, everything. They raided his house with no justified action. And then the FBI made up the lie with Hillary Clinton on the Russian collusion. It's all fabricated. It's
targeting parents who were angry at school boards. Targeting unvaccinated people. Targeting Christians that are praying outside of murder clinics. I mean, abortion clinics.
Right? Yeah. And targeting churches that were meeting during COVID.
Yeah, so the FBI is a corrupt organization. It's still corrupt. I genuinely think that Dan Bongino and Kash Patel are decent guys, but then they got in there and they got compromised immediately just because it is that corrupt of an. You could literally bring a nun to be the head of the FBI, and she'd be compromised in 0.2 seconds. Is my stance. And you can think otherwise. You could think that Kash was a piece of crap before he went in there, whatever. But I think that the FBI and the CIA are just so damningly compromising that you could take a nun in there and boom, she's compromised just because the way that they handle situations.
I disagree, but if you really look at Kash Patel all the way up until this, he always used his position in the government to get him popularity. It was always a look at me. It was he was always with Trump too, so it was always that competition for who can get the most views and the most popularity. It was always him using his platform for popularity. And now that's what he's doing here. He's got some hot country singer girl that's his girlfriend. He's like, no one can make fun of her, and come to find out she works for Israel. It's like, oh, okay. Now I know where it's going.
Maybe. Be careful. Sure. I want to say disclaimer. She just as a joke, because she's suing Elijah Schaffer.
No, I didn't.
She filed a $5 million lawsuit against Elijah Schaffer for posting. Elijah just posted a picture of he quote tweeted it. Somebody calling her an Israel honeypot, and he just put a picture. But whatever.
I suppose I don't actually know that, but it's okay. Everyone is kind of thinking that. Even Tim Dillon was making jokes about it. So I mean, sure, I'm not going to make the accusation, but it's what the evidence is pointing to. And it's all this popularity. Look at me, I'm the head of the FBI now. And it's just, there's no action getting done. There's no action.
Tag said, yes, I knew, and I was going to say that the Capitol Police put them there, but you beat me to it. And he also said, but it's not as bad as the Capitol Police shooting an unarmed woman. Yeah. Ashley Babbitt got shot by Capitol Police, and that Capitol Police officer, nothing happened to him.
So to the point you were making earlier, and this is one of the points I was going to make and I forgot to make, was... the reason why they didn't, obviously this is what you were alluding to with the timeline, is the reason that they did not detonate those pipe bombs is because the Capitol was because they let people in the Capitol. It was them. I will even go out on a limb and say I guarantee you they got the call, and that's why they started letting people in. They were like, okay, let them in and see if they riot. If they all go inside, then we'll take the pipe bombs out. Because it's why was it such perfect timing? And bet you they were banking on people going in there and making a fool out of themselves in front on national TV, and that's the way they were going to pin it. And I guarantee you that was the plan, is if they don't go into the Capitol and they don't actually, stay back and stay civil, we're going to detonate these bombs and say that a MAGA supporter set these up. You almost guarantee that's what the plan was. Why else is no one being prosecuted for setting up a pipe bomb, and then we don't hear about it anymore.
Yeah. We can go back to 3, I guess. And then we'll go to cut 1 and then we'll wrap it up on this topic. So this is an email to Thomas Massie from Kyle Seraphin. And it's regarding the FBI employee to protected disclosure by an FBI employee to the United States Congress related to gross misconduct by the agency, sent via fax and email. Dear Honorable Congressman Massie, and another one that he redacted. Pursuant to 28 CFR Part 27, please accept the following as protected disclosure from blank, redacted, related to serious misconduct by the Federal Bureau of Investigation. Redacted, she believes that there was gross misconduct and I'm pretty sure this was Kyle Seraphin, to be honest. So I don't know that for certain, actually. Believes that there was gross misconduct and or fraud in the January 6th U.S. Capitol pipe bombing case, and is providing this information to show that after FBI agents came within yards of the person who has been identified as a likely pipe bomber, the FBI surveillance team agents were ordered to cease their investigation, denied permission to conduct at least one logical interview, immediately removed from the surveillance, and reassigned to do general leads work. So go ahead and pull up cut 1. I'm going to give like a 30-second synopsis, and I'm done, and you can have it. So this one's from Blaze. Blaze got a bunch of information. Former Capitol police officer, a forensic match for January 6th pipe bomber, sources say. I'm not going to go too deep onto what the forensic analysis is, because they say it's like the gait, speed, all that stuff, the way the person walks, the way the person carries themselves. I guess that's a good forensic analysis. And I'm not opposed to that. I think it's probably, a pretty good analysis, to be honest with you. But Kyle Seraphin, who is a former FBI agent, was actually talking about this on his show in particular, that he was like on that case, and then they had to like let him go off of the case because he was just interested in I can read from the article, but there was one other person that like picked up this person's name is Shawnee something. I had it. I'm not worried about it. He's got nothing.
Nothing.
He was going to say something wise, but he's got nothing. So this person's the person who they're like, kind of accusing now. His name is Shawnee something, right? I'm not going to look it up because I don't care, and I'm kind of want to be done with this story because I'm getting bored of it. But this person got picked up by another person and got taken to like Church Falls, which is just outside of Washington. It's to like literally just due west of Washington, like maybe 4 or 5 miles. This person got picked up by them, and this person was former Capitol police officer who was actually on the roof shooting like non-lethal rounds at protesters the very next day. So like this person's being accused of planting the bombs on the 5th, and then on the 6th was on the roof like shooting people with non-lethal rounds, from what I understand. Kyle Seraphin was on his show talking about how like he was on this case kind of and he was like saying like, why don't we just go interview the guy that like picked her up and just see what's going on here, see if there's a logical explanation. And they were like, nope, boom, dismantled the whole team and like stopped the investigation on the pipe bomb. Like that's the way he described it. And it's just completely insane.
They forgot one descriptive term for this person. Dyke.
Anything else productive?
I'm just being mean now. No, I don't have anything else productive. I mean, it's pretty self-explanatory that, okay, if you look this up, like on ChatGPT, it'll say, they have not confirmed the identity of this person. It's like, okay, forensic analysis shows something else, but I guess they haven't confirmed the identity of the person. But it's like, why wouldn't this spark an investigation?
Fine. That's fine, and that's reasonable. Like, I actually agree with ChatGPT's response because they haven't confirmed that this person was the pipe bomber. But like, that's the bigger issue, is that like it's been almost 5 years. So come January 6, 2026,
they have every single person that ever thought about going to the Capitol, but this person is a mystery.
Yeah. Can't possibly, with cameras all over the place outside the RNC and the DNC, couldn't possibly, and all of this information, like apparently this person took like the smart train or whatever, which is like the Metro DC area kind of train system. So like you could match that ticket to the time it was punched, where it was. All of the people, you can get cell phone data for that area, who was there, location services. Then you can match the gate. Then I'm sure that there's like some fingerprint. This is just such an easy investigation to me. and we still don't even have a sniff of a clue who did it after like almost 5 years. That's completely insane to me because you arrested every single person that was there. Every single person that even had any sniff of the Capitol building, they went after to the full extent of the law and then some. They made up laws to go after these people in Trump. And now there's actual pipe bombs, actual threat of blowing up. And by the way, the timer was stuck at like 20 minutes or whatever, like it wasn't going to go off. It was like a kitchen egg timer or something like that. So the whole thing is very, very shady. The whole thing is probably not real. Like the whole thing is obviously just an orchestrated event. And like the CIA probably knew that this lady did it because they probably sent her to do it.
Yeah. That's the crazy thing too, is all of the evidence that's being laid out. It's so beyond being able to draw a conclusion that it's like at the very, very, very least, they knew about it. They knew what was going on, and they're not prosecuting anyone. That's the least we could say. Like with the amount of evidence that we have, the fact that they're not trying to prosecute someone over this, or they have an identity, or they're not really investigating, or they put the kibosh to any investigation of talking to the people that supposedly picked the person up. At the very least, there's negligence or they're hiding something. Like that's at the very basic level. It's the minimum, let alone setting it up themselves. Right? There's too much evidence out there to say that it was just a MAGA person or it was anyone other than someone working with the government. Like it's just beyond that. We're so far beyond and this is kind of why I guess the title's a little cheeky. It's like it's a dramatic statement, but the statement should have been said like 10 years ago at the beginning of Trump's first term. Like that was when we really should have lost faith in the government after seeing how they treated him his first go around. But at this point, the evidence is so overwhelmingly stacking on top of the corruption in the government that it's like, if you have any bit of trust in anyone in the government, you're probably a fool.
Mm-hmm. Anyway, like, share, subscribe, push all the buttons. Thanks for tuning in. We're going to go on to another topic. And this topic, I think, is a little...
Hang on. Like, share, subscribe, comment, do all the things.
I already said that.
Comment down below if you already knew the government set up the January 6th. All right. Go ahead.
No, seriously, like it. Like it.
You got a thumb, like it.
So this is one topic that's also circulating in the news right now. And to me, this is like a prime example of why the Republicans got absolutely shellacked in the most recent elections. And they're going to in the midterms unless they dramatically change course. And I'm actually seeing like a lot of Daily Wire hosts, a lot of the only two that I find mildly interesting. My wife likes Michael Knowles for some reason.
Actually, the one Catholic they just added, I kind of am pissed off they joined them, but go ahead.
Whatever. So my wife watches Michael Knowles, and I am a Matt Walsh fan. I think he does an okay job. But those two kind of like have been recently creeping up to the point and then letting it go right over their heads, without going all the way. They keep saying, oh, well, the reason that we're going to lose all these elections is because we're too focused on foreign affairs and not domestic issues. It's like, yeah, dude, it's not us. It's not us that's focused on that. It's like, it's your boss. There's the first thing that comes to my mind is the Nick Fuentes clip. The Nick Fuentes clip where he's like, "Get back to work, Matt Walsh. Get back to work," and he's like, imitating Ben Shapiro. It's your boss, Matt Walsh. It is your boss that is all about foreign affairs. His show is unwatchable because it's like yarmulke people or not yarmulke people. Like,
Matt Walsh could break out on his own and be amazing and probably be 10 times better than he is now, and he's shackled to the Daily Wire.
Yes, 100% agree with that. And I think Matt Walsh knows in the back of his mind that like he might even be planning. Hopefully, he's planning an escape. To be honest with you, but like that is why you lost the election. It's not because of the foreign affairs that like we're interested in. It's because of you. It's because of you. Like all you guys want to do is give money to Israel and say that we should be we're their biggest ally, and we're like, actually, we're having domestic arguments about SNAP benefits, and it's really fucking difficult to argue with liberals that SNAP benefits shouldn't be a lifelong thing when you send $800 gazillion to Israel and Ukraine. Because like, if we just stop doing that, everybody could get free.
Well, this is also the other thing.
That was I said this on my show on Sunday when I recorded it. If the alternative was no more foreign aid and everybody in the United States gets free groceries, like, and that was the only two options, or the other options that we keep giving foreign aid. It's like, I'm obviously going to go with the groceries one for the United States. Like, obvious.
All right. If you want to see the full show and more, go check us out on rumble.com at Uncultured Men. We got 2 weekly Bible studies, Tuesdays and Thursdays at 5:30 a.m. We have one live nightly show at Wednesdays at 8 p.m. And we have one live weekend show every week. So if you want to see all that content and more, go check us out at rumble.com at Uncultured Men. Thanks. We'll see you then.